of capital that you use to execute the project. Okay. And there are a lot of options that are available. So it's left for the organization or the project, people that are handling the project, to look at the one that best suits and the project, and at the same time minimize costs. So we have looked at possible options. Even though we are making profit, we still need to plug back the profit into our business for expansion. So we needed to go outside to get loans. So we are not using equity. Okay. We want to use debt. Okay. Then we look at under that going for loan, we have a BOI loan, we have a commercial bank loan from commercial bank, we have from commercial paper, and we have commercial paper. But looking at these three aspects now, the commercial bank loan, their interest rate is very high, looking at 33% to 37%. And again, if you go for commercial paper, you have 21% and thereabout. Then,
sorry, one class.
So we consider BOI because the interest rate. Consider BOI because the interest rate is around 10%. Wow. Then we are talking for about 130 million loans. Then we know that there are gap in application and approval of funds, and possibly before we receive these funds, there might have been an inflation increase in the price of the equipment. So we factored in a 15.4% inflation rate. So bringing the total amount needed for the project to
Sorry, this 15.4% inflation rate, where did you get it?
We took an assumption.
Okay, it's an assumption.
Okay. So the total loan we now need is now
you go to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics.
We didn't.
Because that NBS number,
we didn't.
It's always a joke. Because bread that I bought before did not go up by 15%. It went up by like 100 and something percent. And the way you calculate inflation is by putting a basket of goods and you say this is our CPI. I don't know any product that has only gone up by 15%. But the magicians at NBS have found a way to say that our inflation rate is just 15%. So this 15% that you are factoring into your equipment cost, maybe you are also a magician.
BOI is our option.
Yeah, and BOI will give you the entire 130 million.
No.
Oh, okay.
Since they are options, we are going to fund 30%, equity funding 30%, provide internal funding of 30%, while they provide 70% of it. So 30% is about 5 million, while they provide 105.
Okay. So 30% from internal funding, 70% from BOI. They will come today and tell you what percentage of equity that they collect from people, so that you will not just assume that it is 30-70. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying, but it's great that you've made the assumption. A part of, they want to go to BOI. The reason they intend to go to BOI is because that serves as the cheapest source of funding to them at the moment. BOI will charge them 10%. My auntie right there says she will charge them 37%. It goes without saying, therefore, that if they have access to BOI loan, they should prioritize BOI loan, right? And so they've decided that 70% of this 130 million they will source from BOI, and the remaining 30%, they do not want to go to a commercial bank still. They said that they will source it internally. So they've got a pool of funds that they want to source the remaining money from. That's their plan.
Based on our deliberation,
one class, please. One class. Yes.
We'll source our own funds through debt rates, and it's from BOI. Then we'll we'll source our machine locally to minimize cost through consultation. We'll reach out to consulting firm based on what they have done.
No, not consulting firm to you.
Based on what they have done, we'll pick the best people that have that we have seen where they have done it before. We'll go with them.
So for you, you're going to BOI,
Yes,
and I'm not surprised that you're going to BOI. Because on this table, there's someone from BOI. So BOI is where you want to go and collect your money.
Yes.
What sort of risks did this table decide is inherent inside this process? And it doesn't have to be, it can be any other person at the table.
Now it's the pre-qualified vendors getting us inferior materials. So how we discuss we're going to mitigate that risk. So we're going to go with provincial quotes. So we'll go with vendors that already have and we talked about cost inflation. And we also said that.
Sorry, this table,
We also said that
the ones that want to collect letter of credit.
during the process of the bidding, they must have come up to their own cost. So if there is any increment, they will also come up with it. Then the process of installation of the, because we're going.
Are you a lawyer?
What's I'm an accountant.
Accountant.
Yes.
Because what she has said to me, and it's a fantastic point, is that when they agree price with the vendor, they would include a lock-in clause. That's what she said, that they would include a lock-in clause into that price, such that if the vendor likes, the price should go up. If the vendor likes, the price should come down. The price that they have agreed is the price. It's tricky, but it's possible. And it's something you can ask the vendor about, right? Although we know that ordinarily, yesterday's price is not today's price. And in order to avoid that, is why you are building this lock-in clause. Okay, Madam Accountant.
Okay, we also talked about after we've gotten the water cycling plant, then also the installation process, and then local communities.
This my auntie, she just is talking to herself. She doesn't want to put in Abakaliki and on.
Okay, we also have the negative impact of the local community, because we know these area boys and they always want to come when the company is working and they want to get their own stuff.
She's saying that a risk is that during installation there can be area boys that will come and collect. They will come and collect and then. What is your mitigation risk and mitigation strategy? They will not call it DEVE inside their books as smart accountants. They will call it out of pocket expenses. I can neither confirm nor deny that the oil companies, when they pay our friends in the creeks, they do not call it DEVE. I won't tell you what they call it. So I'm saying this is a practical risk that you identify. It sounds comical, but it's a practical risk, and it makes sense that you thought about it. Let's give them a round of applause. All right.
So since we are assuming, I assume for GreenWeaves Textiles Limited that we are planning to collect a loan, or we need.
Sorry, one class, please.
I think we are estimating at 2 billion, for instance, and from that 2 billion, we are trying to want to generate 40% from internal through equity and retail earnings, and that is about 800 million, right? And then the remaining 1.2 billion, making it 60%. We are considering We are considering about 3 options. And the first option is a Bank of Industry. Commercial Bank is not there. The second option is IMF. And then the third option is government grants. Now, we thought, now, even though Bank of Industry sounds as easy as it is, we also know that we also need a facilitator to also help us. Possibly a commercial bank or something like that. That will make it easier for us, you understand? And then for international...
Sorry, can we have one class, please?
For International Monetary Fund, we realized something. Checking analysis, we discovered why many companies shut down in Nigeria. Now, it's not because they don't make profits. A company could make maybe profit of 1 trillion or so. But let's assume a company took a loan from IMF maybe 2 years ago, about $2 million loan, when the interest rate was just let's say 150 naira to $1. And now, dollar is currently 1,630, you understand? Imagine what a company will be repaying, despite the fact that they are making profit, but they are channeling the entire profit, you understand, to servicing that debt.
Service.
At the end of the day, the company is getting nothing. So we realize that that risk is too much for the company to bear. Considering the fact that in Nigeria, dollar is one thing that is flying every minute and every second. So we thought of grants, and then we realized that our politicians are very corny. Yes, we talked of government grants, you understand. Tinubu may prefer to give the grant to his first daughter, you understand. Just as
I don't understand this part you're saying.
You understand now?
You don't understand this part. Yeah, I don't understand this part.
Considering that stress, okay, we agreed to come back to BOI. Yeah, sorry, BOI, sorry, provided they will not stress us. Provided they will not stress us. And we considered, though we needed more than that, but we considered another risk over cash or excess money. When there's too much money in the company, that's the essence of to monitor your expenses, right? It's because the company we want to diversify or do something different that will end up causing loss.
Maybe the CEO will go and buy G-Wagon.
Yes. So we thought of that. We cut it down to just that 2 billion and then getting 60% from the external forces. Listen, our repayment structure, we plan to use long term. You understand? We plan to use a long term. Now, the reason why we choose to use long term is because of cash flow. So the company will have cash, you understand, to run the company. We could do it in short term, but if we try that, which means it will affect the company's cash flow a lot. But in the long term, we have sufficient cash, you understand, within the company's hand to run 1 or 2 availabilities, you understand, in the company. So I think I've talked about the risks already and the mitigations.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Please, when you look at this bond, I look at the estimated cost of capex. Even if we do all 4, it's not up to 2 billion. But you see, Michael, I told you people when I came into this class, that Michael has big plans. He wants to buy G. And because we are friends, he will carry me inside his G. Every time I land, he will send a G-Wagon to come and pick me from the air. Michael, what we're trying to raise is not up to 2 billion. But I see your point. What Michael is saying is that for them, they will not dash down to just think about, going straight to BOI. They will look at the available funding sources. In fact, Michael was going to IMF to collect money. But that's not a problem, because, like I said, list out all the possible funding sources. By yourself, you now use your hand to remove IMF from the list, because IMF will not give you money. Do you understand? But the point is this. Let's imagine that you're unable, and someone got at it, and Michael he touched on it slightly as well. Imagine you wanted to raise 100 million, and BOI says to you that they're only able to raise you, 50 million of that, for example. You touched on it. Why are we not thinking about grants? Is there a grant that is available that we can look at that will be free? There was a table group in Lagos that said that, well, they will start by raising grants, and then the remaining will come from BOI. And I said to them, if everything can be raised from grants, why do you want to incur any cost at all? As beautiful as BOI offer sounds, if there's a world and the BOI people are already using bad eye to look at me, but if there's a possibility for you to get a grant and you get cheap capital, go for cheap capital. And that's the reason why you're talking about BOI as well, because if you go to my auntie over there, she would welcome you. She would in fact serve you tea or coffee. She would tell you milk or honey, and then she would gladly charge you 37%. But there might be a world where you have 50 million out of the 100 million. That's all BOI can offer you. You have to go to the commercial bank to still raise money. My point is this: in thinking about your capital stack, that's what these fancy accountants call it. You have to think about that 100 million, start looking at it from where you get the cheapest capital source, and then exhaust the cheapest before you go to the next cheapest, and to the more expensive, and on like that. The final thing I'll mention is that sometimes you only think about something called fixed interest rates. I said yesterday that there might be a world where there is floating interest rate. In that situation, if you get that kind of loan, you want to quickly include interest rate risk as part of the risk that you are exposed to, because the floating rate might go up, and if it goes up, that immediately pushes up your debt service ratio. So as you think about the loan, if you walk into a bank and rather than a fixed rate, what they are offering you is floating rate. And even though the floating rate looks better in the immediate, you want to think about a world where if that floating rate goes up, you're already tied to it, and you would have to pay increased interest rates. With these few words of mine. No, before we finish, I always like to do this. Yesterday, when we came here, we started with what? A refresher. We reminded ourselves about what RECP is, what IE is, because there are people that were not here 2 years ago, 18 months ago. In fact, there are people, and I'm one of those people that call people out. And now, I just remembered something, that this Egmont, this man, that stood up when I said that he was going to tell us risk and mitigation strategy. He thinks I will forget, but I never forget these things. Because my flight is still at 5:55 p.m. I have time. And so you will tell us the risk and mitigation strategy on this table.
Even though I'm now a little bit distracted.
No, it's all right. Just tell us.
Yes, about the risk identification and mitigation.
Yes.
So, first of all, we were able to identify the technical risk. So, the possibility that the equipment may not fit in or may not work as expected. Technology may not actually give us what we wanted.
Yeah.
So, we are going to make sure we engage professionals who also must have shown us where they have done it in the past, where it was working. So we should be able to trust them enough, and we should be able to attach and include performance guarantee that this machine is going to work before we can pay you a certain amount of money. So we also identify some operational risk. That it's possible that after installing this machine, we may have challenges with the operation. So we have to train staffs that are able to operate it, so that they will be able to handle it, so that it will give us what we expect. Also, we have some financial risk. So how are we going to mitigate it? There's going to be a detailed course. We are going to involve some financial buffers, so that if things didn't work out the way we planned, the way we budgeted, so this percentage of amount of money is able to guarantee for what we want.
Yeah. Alternatively, you can just give all of this work to me, and I will charge you how much? 500. You know, doing a refresher of what we learned the last time, because there were certain people that were not here the last time. Not only were there certain people that were not here the last time, there were people that were here the last time and they came extremely late. There are people like that in our midst today, that they came on day 2. I won't call them out, but because of them, I'll quickly run through what we learned. We did a refresher and we reminded ourselves what RECP is and what IEE is. And there are 16 million Nigerians that do not have access to water, and we said that there. So we spoke about the risk, the resource in the gaps, and we spoke about the opportunities. After that, we spoke about the funding gap that is available, those that the banks are deploying capital to, and the industries that we said emissions are high. So after that, we moved on. After that, we spoke about the structure of a business plan. We spoke about the risks that are involved, and ultimately we landed. I hope I've been able to convince and not to confuse you. Remember that we should prioritize value ahead of value. Thank you.
Both Olumide and the project, that form is for that assessment. Then, if you've been following us from yesterday to today, you will notice that POI has become a household name. Maybe other banks may be jealous, but you don't have a choice. Because when you look at the name of the bank, you know what it was. It is on this note, now I want to bring up a man who has been with us from the beginning of this project. And he know more about the project and know the other side of it, to just address us briefly. On that note, I'm calling on the Chief Risk Officer of the Bank of Industry to just address us generally.
I hope we are having a very engaging session. Mr. Olu, our facilitator, has done a wonderful job. You will all agree with me. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Actually, he has touched on a number of things that I want to mention, but I will just, give a little bit, throw more light. A lot has been said about BOI and the commercial banks. The truth is that the bank is not a deposit money bank. We are a DFI. Okay, so having gone through all the big drama, IEE, industrial energy efficiency, resource efficient, cleaner production, and applying it to ourselves, because I know many of you are representative of one factory or industry or the other. In fact, I know some of us here are already having a relationship with BOI, some not yet, but applying what we have learned in these 2 days of coming together, I want to believe that each and every one of us must have identified, looking back at the operations in your factory and your places of work, you will have identified areas where you can achieve that energy efficiency, or the resource efficient, cleaner production, either by changing your equipment that wastes raw material, or finding more efficient ways of using water, or even energy itself. We might as well have identified, okay, maybe changing our tungsten wire bulbs that produce a lot of heat to LED bulbs, you know. But whatever we have decided upon to apply in our places of work with regards to IEE RECP, it will involve funding. It has a cost implication, and that is where banks come in. Okay, well, the facilitator also mentioned, and as I said earlier, he's touched on a lot of places that, I mean, I would have spent more time on. You know, deciding on that funding, it can either be either equity, debt, or using your cash flow, you know, funds generated from your operations. And we all know that, you know, using funds generated from your operations can impact on the going concern, you know, because you need it to pay salaries, you know, replenish your raw materials. So, and of course, we know how risky equity funding is. It's high risk. And coming from, you know, the African mentality in us, we usually don't want to share ownership, you know. So equity funding might not be, so the best option is debt funding. And so as I said earlier, that is where we come in. First of all, I want to, I know some of us here are bankers. My sister is, you know, I don't need to ask which bank, but I know you are a banker. Is there anybody else that is from a commercial bank? Okay, without much ado, we've all mentioned about it, you know, that DMBs, commercial banks, have a higher interest rate. And even though I'm not a staff of a commercial bank, a deposit money bank, I used to be. And you know, the major difference between the deposit money bank, like the commercial banks, and the BOI, which is a development finance institution, the major difference is on the ownership. Commercial banks are owned by private entities who are in the business of banking for profit purposes. You understand? So it is not unexpected that they will go into ventures that are profit generating. I don't see any private businessman that will go into a business while punching the numbers, he can see that he's going to make a loss. So that's one. The second thing, major difference between the DFI that we are and commercial banks is that commercial banks, being deposit money banks, collect money from depositors. You know, so they open savings accounts, current accounts, fixed deposit accounts. So they are open to customers as low as individuals. And that involves them opening a lot of branches and employing a lot of staff. So on the average, you'll see commercial banks having thousands of staff that will pay salaries. So in other words, their operating cost is also high. But without, you know, coming here to defend them, you know, the major difference that BOI has that is able to give cheaper funding is that unlike commercial banks, our owners is government. So our two shareholders is CBN and the Minister of Finance. Those are our owners, you know, and as being owned by governments, we also do not, we don't have savings, current accounts and all that. You know, we get our funding from government, or in the recent, we go to the international market to raise funds like we've been doing. Within the last 7 years, we've raised over $5 billion in the international markets. You know? So we're that much about the difference. And now, having said that also, I need to talk about the intervention programs briefly though, that we've done in the past. we partner with different government institutions to intervene in various areas of the economy. The two that I will mention that I believe we've all heard of is the Graduate Entrepreneurship Fund. That, in fact, is not it's a fund of BOI itself to support youth corpers. You know, because we notice many corpers, when they finish camp, almost all of them go about dropping CVs, you know, and knowing the difficulty it is in Nigeria to get jobs. That was why we started that fund, where we go to the camps where NYC is taking place and get the corpers that have business ideas or have been nurturing to do something. We get them to write a business proposal and submit. You know, and we pre-qualify, screen, and those that are shortlisted, we give them funds. And this Graduate Entrepreneurship Fund has helped a lot of corpers today to be employers of labor. And true enough, I mean, some of them that we funded didn't make it, but those that made it worthwhile. You know, and another one that is worth mentioning is a youth entrepreneurship scheme program. Now that is also targeting youths, not corpers. For those youths that have been unemployed for some time but have business ideas or are doing something, maybe they have a cottage industry, we've also supported them. You know, so there are so many other interventions. I mean, we've done a lot of intervention in the fashion industry, have a lot of intervention in creative industry. In fact, we have a group in the bank dedicated to creative industry. Many of the Nollywood films that we all know about, a good number of them was funded by BOI. You know? So, and gender is another area where we play strongly. And now, in the light of all this, it is not surprising that the Jeff UNIDO, looking for a partner, approached BOI as the most ideal partner to take care of the funding aspects of this project. You know, and well, so far so good. The purpose of having this program is to increase that awareness and increase also participation in the project. The details of the partnership, unfortunately, the maximum limit, because I've been hearing many of us saying we will take 2 billion, and we're talking in the hundreds of millions, including Olu, that wants to collect a consultancy fee of 500 million. You know, so we can only hope that this project, this phase of the project, will not be the last. We can only hope that it will be a new one and a bigger one will come after this. But for this current project, the maximum loan that any beneficiary can take under this project is 100 million. That's the maximum, 100 million. And the maximum tenor is 4 years, which is inclusive of moratorium. And of course, we know what moratorium is. That's the principal repayment holiday. The interest rate is not 37%, it's 10%. And it's quite low. It's the lowest you can get in the country. And someone mentioned earlier that they are factoring into their business plan an inflation rate of 15.4%. Actually, inflation in Nigeria is over 20%. So it's about 22%, if not more. So we are lending below inflation rates, which for many economists is even, it defies economic laws. Many things in Nigeria don't follow economic law anyway. So but that is it. Well, our lending rate is 10%, so low, below inflation rates, and the tenure is 4 years maximum, inclusive of the 6 months moratorium. And the repayment is either monthly or quarterly, depending on the nature of your business. Because you know the business plan, we need to structure the loan to suit your business. You know, it's not a one size fits all. There are some businesses that their cash flow is seasonal, in which case you use quarterly, and there are some that's probably, you know, there is the cash cycle is faster, then it can be monthly. What else? There are, for this project, it's not across the whole country. We're using certain locations. So this is a pilot run, so to say. So it's only certain cities, major cities in Nigeria that have considerable industrial concentration. Hopefully, when we're going to the next phase, if there will be, we pray and hope UNIDO listens to us, it will be extended to all cities. You know, the list of those cities we can provide. We'll send links. We've all dropped our emails, so we'll provide them. Now, to also assist us in getting funding, we will also provide addresses and phone numbers of our state offices. BOI has presence in 33 states out of the 36 states. And that's a huge growth, you know, because some of you might say, why not, what about the 4 states? We'll get there. Actually, 10 years ago, I joined the bank 10 years ago. 10 years ago, BOI was present in only 7 states. So between 10 years and now, it's moved from 7 to 33. So by the time we come when we'll be present in every state. But for now, we're present in 33 out of the 36 states. So we'll also send to you, to your emails, the names, the addresses and phone numbers of all our state offices so that it can be easier to approach the nearest BOI office to you, regardless of where you are. Also, to make things easier for our customers, the bank also started an initiative which I think is important to mention here as well, and that's the business development service providers. Unlike commercial banks, we don't have a lot of staff. BOI, as big as you think it is, has less than 1,000 staff. You know, banks like UBA, First Bank, have thousands and thousands of staff. So we don't have a lot of staff, and our mandate is very huge. The mandate given to us from the federal government is not, as I said earlier, profit making. So, and that's why we can give loans at 10%. The objective of BOI is not to make profit. The objective is to be impactful. To be impactful. Focus on areas that create jobs, you know, and be catalytic in the industrial sector. You know, be a catalyst for industrialization. And that's why we focus on those areas. You will notice, those of us here, none are traders. The bank doesn't fund trading businesses. So our mandate is that, okay, and to reach out to many of our customers or proposed customers, prospective customers, we've engaged consultants to help us reach out to more people because of our limited staff strength. And so that's why we started with the business development service providers, which are consultants that has been accredited by the bank, competent, good, well-trained, that the bank uses to reach out to more. So their job is to handhold customers. You know, they know the inner workings of the bank. They will help customers to develop a business plan, like Olu took us on, help us develop a business plan, submit it to the bank, process for you approval of BOI up to the point of disbursements for a token fee. Well, not that I'm spoiling business for Olu, who is hell bent on collecting 500 million. If there's anybody here that can pay him. But our BDSPs have been mandated to collect engagement fees from any prospective customer not exceeding 1% of the loan. That's the maximum. Usually it's less. So that's, if you pay that as an engagement fee, they will work for you. You give them the necessary documentation, tell them your business idea, they will help you prepare a feasibility report. They will come to the bank to do a process approval for you. And once they get approval, they are entitled to 0.5% fee of the loan amount. They will also help you to process post-approval documentation, and once you get this, your loan gets disbursed, you get another 0.5% of the loan amount. Now, the good thing is that the 0.5% that they will get at the point of approval, the 0.5% fee that they will get at the point of disbursement is paid by BOI. It's paid by BOI. So the only fee you are paying to the consultant is at the point of engagement, which I said is a maximum of, it's negotiable, but it's a maximum of 1%. But the other fee at approval and disbursement will be paid by BOI. So this is also a step further that BOI has taken to be able to reach out to as many people as possible, not just those of us here, but many, many more. You know, so at this point, I believe I've touched on everything that I think is important, but who knows, I might have left out one or two key issues. So if there are any questions or need for further clarification, you can indicate.
Sir,
Check.
how we can get the list of your consultants? Then is there any equity payments that you need to do to be like if you want to take whatever loan?
No, thank you very much. Yeah, as I said, with Jeff UNIDO, the equity contribution is between 10 to 30%. Between 10 to 30%. So, I mean, if your cash flow is robust, you can do as much as 30, but we can accept not lower than 10%. And another thing that we consider or accept as equity contribution can also is not only financial assets, not only cash. We can also consider fixed assets. You know, so between 10 and 30% the equity contribution, and then of course, yes, we will also send to. Though on our website there is a link that the BDSPs are listed on our website. So I think it will be easier to. Our website is www.boi.ng. It's very simple. Very simple. BOI.ng. So if you go to our website, all our business development service providers are there. They are accredited names. There are over 100. You know, so you can pick one and deal with that is closest to you, because they are also spread all over the country. So you will find the list of our BDSPs on our website. Thank you very much.
Opportunity to be part of the whole process. I believe you can hear me. Good morning, because of other scheduled engagement. You know, technology is a good thing, but we have suddenly realized that, you know, before, when you don't have the issue of virtual meeting, you program yourself, because you can't be everywhere at the same time. But these days of having virtual meeting, some will even say hybrid. So irrespective of the location you find yourself, you can still steal out time, or sometimes they compel you to steal out time to still join. So I've been involved in a series of virtual meetings back to back, but I've been in and out at least to ensure that things are moving smoothly as planned. My duty is to just share a few information with us, one or two information with us, then thank every one of us and all the other persons that have played one role or the other in making this workshop a reality. Unfortunately, some of them have left by reason of the need to catch up with vehicles that will take them. They came from a very far place, I think it's Enugu, to be precise. So the first information is to announce to us that we have all done well. And it's not a political statement. It's a statement of reality. You have done well. And I know some people will be guilty now. You know, some people have church mind. They'll be wondering, even me, I know, say I don't do well. I hope this man is saying the right thing. But even at that, the key parameters that we consider paramount, which is participation, effective participation, listening, interacting, and also giving additional information as regard the experience that we have even on our own. When we look at all of these parameters and others, we have come to realization that just like we recorded in Lagos, even the one in Onitsha, using the local Nigerian parlance, did not fall our hands. So a round of applause for the information. The first one is to let us know that all of us, when I say all now, excluding those that are from the account and finance division, all other participants, you should be prepared to join the technical session again, which is the advanced stage of what you have learned before. Precisely, it will be starting June 19. That's the mission 1 of the international experts. June 19 to July 1 to be specific. June 19 to July 1 to be specific. Reading the minds of our partners, and when I say partners, I mean like our institution that we have here, like our strategic partner that is managing the funding component, BOI. I'm not referring to you, because on every step that we take, we still need you as partners to support us, to guide. But for industries, so if you are a staff sent here by your management and you know you are a staff of the account division, if you don't see our invitation for the next one, which is a technical session with the international experts, don't worry, there's no cause for alarm. We want to assure you that when next Olumide will be coming back, which is still talking about financing aspect of his strategy planning, as well as business, how to put up a business plan and all of that, we involve you again. So I feel it's important that we let you know this, so that it won't look like you left some people, you are inviting some other persons. So let's block our dates. And for those of us that have completed the questionnaires, we want to thank you very, very much for completing the questionnaire. Not that you are doing us a favor, but where you have helped us to prove that some industries, we have some industry in this axis of the country that can also access that benefit of having the international expert conduct the cleaner production assessment for your factory at no cost to you. I am not boasting. If you want to quantify the assessment, energy audits alone, because the CPA is a combination of both energy audit and the audit assessment for your usage of chemical, water, and other things, so that you efficiently use the resources at the disposal of your industry. I can tell you, energy audit alone, there's no how you won't pay anything less than 10 million. If the person likes your face or is just a starter, maybe he will offer you around 5 to 7 million. But this is going to come free of charge for those that have completed the questionnaire and have written us. You know, some people wrote us long ago that they would like their company to be a beneficiary of the pilot project, particularly CPA assessment. So when I'm saying this, because I'm from Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, when you are dealing with members, membership paying, so that we will not misconstrue the information and say, they left some people, they took some people. And in spirit of fairness, we also shared the questionnaire again yesterday. That wasn't the first time we're sharing it. We circulated it long ago. Only in Onitsha, this axis, I think we received only 3 back, as against 10 that we are hoping to get. So luckily, we have received some today. I don't know the number, but if you know you are interested and you want your company to be a beneficiary, because you need all of that to package your proposal even to Bank of Industry or to even show the world that you are compliant. And by the way, when you have that audit report with you, it's one of the few steps on the rung of the ladder of implementing ISO 50001 for energy and ISO 14000 series for RECP, which is Environment Management System. So I feel there's need for us to take note of that. So if you are still interested, you know, yesterday I said I'm drawing the curtain today, but looking at the number, I don't know the number. Mr. Ladipo, how many more did we receive today? Questionnaire, only 1. So there's still room. There's still room. So if you need to endeavor to get across to us as fast as possible, we have dedicated 10 slots to this zone. So if we don't use it, it simply means we have more in Lagos. 10 is for Lagos, but we have application of 22 already. So if we don't use it, we can seed it to other zones that need it. But so that information, somebody will not misinterpret the thing and say, they gave people from Lagos many more than. That is why we are announcing. You have a question, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. This questionnaire answers to the questions there. We may not get the information handy here. So I'm thinking if we can submit it. If we can submit it tomorrow for us to get back to our offices, get some of the information correct,
That's exactly what I just said. Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
You know, yesterday I said we'll be drawing the curtain today. So, but there is need for us to set timeline to it. So I would like to be democratic about that. What timeline should we give you? Today is gone already. Yes. So weekend, Monday. So what time? What timeline? So that we agree. Because we are developing the report of this session. I'm told based on what was shared with me now by the MPC. Seal Flora, you are yet to submit. Meanwhile, you wrote long ago that you like to be a beneficiary. So if you don't submit, another person that didn't write before submit will replace that slot. The other one in Kutis, I think somebody is from Kutis Cables also. You are yet to submit. You wrote long ago that you would like to. Which other one? ZEC Industry. You are also yet to submit. They were here yesterday. Do you have anybody from ZEC? Okay, you are yet to submit. You've written officially before now that you'd like to be part of it. EK God. you are here to submit. So when you get back to your factory, you remind them to quickly do that. The timeline, the deadline now is Tuesday next week for submission. If we don't submit, we'll have to yield that seed slot to other people to make use of. And finally, Transtel, you are also yet to submit. You're also yet to submit. You submitted today. Okay, that's the one. Fantastic. Thank you so much for cooperation. So on that note, I would like to once again thank our partners, maybe as we start from Bank of Industry today, for always being there for us, for ever ready, to render support, strategic support that will enable us implement this particular aspect of the project effectively. I would also like to extend gratitude to UNIDO and Jeff in absentia for also providing the resources, because without the fund, all these things that we're putting together, doing left, right, center, wouldn't have been able to do them. I would also like to thank our partners also from FUPRI. Thank you so much. We appreciate your sacrifice and your level of commitment to the project. By the way, FUPRI happened to be one of the 4 universities selected for the project, implementation of the academic aspect of the project. The curriculum is being developed and in partnership with NUC, and ultimately they have a center already established that will be running these courses, running the module as certificate courses, and maybe later when you gain, you upscale it to degree. So once again, thank you. We appreciate that sacrifice, considering the distance from Warri to this place. And we are praying that God Almighty will take you back home safely, in Jesus' name. I would also like to thank my colleagues. Well, I'll call you my colleagues because we are a team now. National expert from Hospitalia, national expert from ECOWAT, the MPC, and all other partners. If I miss out anybody, just forgive me. It's not intentional. We want to thank you so much. Our communication expert, carrying the camera and also ensuring that you interview people so that we can develop content for the website. I also thank you so much. Without you, the much needed color that we need to generate from this kind of experience, we won't be able to. And more importantly, all we are doing will just amount to winking in the dark if we don't have the communication aspect that can at least carry out and beam whatever we have done. So on that note, Olumide, thank you so much once again. Apologies, I should have even mentioned your name. International expert in Nigerian color. Thank you so much for your support. So on that note, I think we have come to the end of the program. I thank our esteemed members of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. We are always here for you. You are the reason why we are in existence. And please, if any question or there is need for clarification after this exercise, feel free to reach out to us. Without you, there cannot be man. You are the reason why we are in existence. So, wishing you safe trip back to your various destinations as we have the group photograph as the last activity.